everybody. Here we are again with another interview, and I'm sat here at the Artistry House in Preston, which is the home of the British Institute of Professional Photography. And today I've got with me Johanna Elizabeth. Welcome, who's not a stranger to anybody.
No, hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Very good.
Good. Well, thank you for agreeing to do an interview, because you've done a couple of these. But this one is all about how important is your social media. Now, I know you're massive on social media, and I'm going to say right now, people are going to hear that you're massive on social media. So what are they instantly going to go and do?
They're going to go and look at the number of likes that I have on my different social media platforms.
They are. So what we're going to do, you're relevant and current on your social media, but maybe not in the way that people think social media is typically run, or how they think social media is typically run. So we're going to go through quite a few things, and why and the wherefores of how you do things. And later on in this interview, we're actually going to talk a few facts and figures as well, because people want to know the nooks and crannies of it. Is, do you make money from social media and your advertising, or whatever you do? And we're going to talk through that. So stay around till the end of this video, because you'll see how effective social media is to you and your business.
Absolutely, quite right.
Yeah, so actually, typically, we're talking to you about how important is social media in your business. Now, people will know you as a boudoir photographer. Typically, that is what you're well known for. So tell us a little bit, for those that haven't seen any of your other videos, or who don't know you very rudely, tell us a little bit about you and your business to start off with.
Oh God, that's put me on the spot, isn't it?
I know, I'm sorry.
Where am I from? So I've been in the game with a high street-ish studio, about a couple now, since 2010 we opened, shooting since 2008, and started off as very quickly on the world of Groupon and gift experience companies, doing 20-30 shoots a week with a massive team, a big monster that caused burnout, and I had to feed said monster, and I wasn't enjoying it. So looked stateside for mentors and decided that I wanted to be like them. So how could I become a luxury business? So I flipped it. So with careful stages, I flipped my business into a high average, low number studio. So went from 20-30 shoots a week to now 5 or 6. But I now make a lot more money doing that, and spend a lot more time and love what I do more. Better work-life balance.
Which is what we all want, and you are luxury high end. And I'm going to admit this to everyone watching, that I've been there in the studio, and I know, I have been there, and I've had one of your shoots, and what you provide and the experience that you provide for your clients starts right from the very beginning, not just when they walk into your studio. It starts right back before they even make contact with you. You're
Yes.
putting out all these messages, and positive messages, and we could go on all day about how you run your business, but we are talking about those messages that people possibly may see first. There's lots of different forms through social media. So I've got a list of questions to ask you. So if you see me looking off to the side, I've got a list of questions to ask. They're in front of me. So what I'm going to ask first, start off with, is you seem to have perfected social media down to a T. Now, is this something that has taken a long time for you to achieve? You've said about you started in 2008. Has it taken you that long to achieve that?
I don't think it necessarily has to take that long, because God, we'd be waiting for years, wouldn't we, to build things. But I've learned a lot over the years. I am present on most platforms now. I would say, though, that the likes and the follows that we have are not massive. I've never bought a follow, I've never bought a like or anything like that. So everything is very, very organic and has grown over a long period of time. But we get amazing results over, if you want to go and look at my platforms and go, she's only got X amount of likes. well, they're all really, really precious, and they all return a really good amount of turnover to us, if that makes sense. So when you go and look at people, you can get wowed by the amount of likes that they've got, but you'll see that they're not actually getting much results from it. So I'll put that as a disclaimer, because I think although vanity part of me wants more followers on Instagram, you know, I'm constantly, that's a bit like a holy grail of, because I know that when we hit 5 or 10,000 follows, we're going to have more possibilities within stories to share and swipe ups and things like that. So that's the only reason that I want to gain more followers, and I'm constantly on the lookout for how to improve that. So one of those things is this week we are getting to grips with TikTok, which should be funny.
Does that mean we have to do all these dances?
I'm not dancing. I'm not dancing, and I'm not doing this. So it's going to be hopefully a little bit different. But it means that I can take that content, unwatermarked, by the way, it needs to be, and put that over on Reels. And then at some point, YouTube Shorts, you know, I can reappropriate the content that we're going to be making and put it on all platforms, my Facebook groups and everything. So Facebook stories, you know, so the content that we're going to create is going to really help with that. And I know that if I want to boost my Instagram, I need to get on Reels, you know, so it's finding out these little things in real time as to what's working right now. I've found that I've got into Clubhouse in the last few weeks, and it's been incredible. Podcast on steroids, I call it, but it's the real, you know, people are at the mouth of it and are working in it, in marketing, in social media, and you just listen in on these talks that they're doing, and you just get these little snippets that if you went and bought a guide on how to, it's already out of date.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I find I'm listening to stuff in real time as to what they think is working right now. So I've really enjoyed that, and that's helped. And it's given me a little bit boost in lockdown as to what to do next.
And I think that's the thing. I think you've always stayed relevant and current, and you move on. So you maybe move on is not the right word. You've got yourself established on the platforms that you need to be in, but if something new comes along, you embrace that. TikTok and Clubhouse.
I resisted TikTok until now, because I was like, oh God, no, because my 14-year-old's on it. You know, I was like, oh God, that's not me. But now I realise it's a platform that's going to get us traction and attention to take over towards Instagram and stuff like that. There's actually going to be a monetary reward from that. So therefore that perks my ears up and makes me go, oh, okay, could I actually get something from this? And then it's worth putting the effort in. But we started, I was looking yesterday when I read that, you've sent me these questions, a little bit of a
heads up.
Yeah, a little bit of heads up. I have got prep on this, but I thought I'll go and have a little look and see when we first engaged with Facebook marketing. And all of my history is still on there. So we started boosting posts in 2012 for engagement, you know, just to kind of keep pushing out. I've got a Facebook page for each part of my business. So beauty portraits and what was family, bumps, babies back in the day, is evolved into a beauty portraits kind of page. And then my boudoir, which is always under the cosh of being deleted at any moment, which is why I have two. Just in case, because it kind of feels it's going to happen at some point, really. I'm in and out of Facebook jail all the time because of the nature of what I do. People go, where are you? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm in jail again. So yeah, 2012 we started boosting, and it was only when we parted company with gift experience companies for lead generation that, I think it was about 2015, we started doing Facebook ad campaigns to generate leads to replace the work that we'd lost. And our lead cost went down at the time from 30 quid to 2 quid. It was just amazing. Overnight we were like, oh, we should have been doing this ages ago, and created a system and a business model now that we still use to this day, you know, 5 years.
And that's great. You get something that works and you stick with it, and obviously you've got to evolve, but I know that you're very big on your numbers, and is it working, and if it doesn't work, move on, don't
Yeah.
waste time, don't waste money. So
Yeah.
everything that you invest, and it is an investment, and we'll talk about that later,
Mm.
it's all done on research and facts and figures and return, isn't it?
Always. It seems like the most sensible way to do business for me.
Yeah.
And that includes time, not just money investment.
Yeah, no, I get that. And time,
Return. Time is
and it can be a
important.
big sucker, can't it? Really, social media is
Yeah,
a big
huge.
pull on your time. But before we, there's two things before we delve into everything else. I want to know, like you said, so 2012, and you're still using those ads today. So how important, before we delve into everything, how important is it to stay consistent?
Very. So we analyze performance of everything that we're doing. So things like ad campaigns, whether it's on Facebook, we do Google AdWords as well, you know, they're the kind of things that actually work better if you leave them alone. You launch it, you measure it, you watch it, you don't touch it, because we've had adverts that have run for like 10 months. I had one at one point that said like new year, new you. But because it was working so well, it was still running in August and nobody noticed because I wasn't going to touch it. It's a bit of an in-joke with myself and a few other photographers who we talk about how we do what we do. There's a few of us, and it's like a long-standing joke that it's like a living, breathing animal. And if it's performing, don't poke it, don't touch it, just leave it. Because the minute you start messing around, the algorithms and the metrics behind it will reset. And you can ruin some hard work there, really. But consistency, that's ad campaigns and running a sort of model that we do. But I think social media presence has to have a level of consistency. So a good example is that I was looking to engage an alliance with another business the other day, and I thought, oh, I found their website, then I saw the emblems to their Facebook and Instagram, so I clicked over, and they hadn't updated their social media since September last year. And I know that there's a pandemic on, and I know that everybody's under pressure, but I reversed out of the whole thought pattern, because I just went, they're not engaged, they're not doing anything. And I think I don't want potential clients looking at us and seeing basically an untended or a shut shop.
Yeah.
Take away the analytics and what the results are and the performance. I think it's a bit like your website needs to be updated. Everything has to be fresh, relevant, and social media channels, you just need to look present. And I think that's more important now than ever. Really.
And there's so many things, even if we've not got working, and majority of us haven't got working, there's still things that you can do to engage. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, how you engage your audience and who you're looking for. But the next thing is, so you're staying consistent. And I think I certainly see this on social media. There's a really fine line between being professional and being friendly or over friendly. Would you agree with that?
Very much so. So if you're ever bored and just sit there with a cup of tea, you can go back through our Instagram, and our Instagram is an ideal sample of what we've tried over the years. And originally, this was long before Instagram stories. I mean, we've had our Instagram for years and years, and when we were a larger team, especially, the more team members you have, the more shenanigans go on basically behind the scenes. So lots of very excitable young people all chatting, mucking around. There was a lot of bits that we could capture, and because I tried to just put very professional out there, I decided at the time that our Instagram was going to be more about behind the scenes. It was going to be a window into, I think it even said that in the bio at one point, because people were nosy and wanted to see how we did what we did, but there was nowhere really suitable for us to share that. So that's what we did. So looking back, it's hilarious. And then we've, with the advent of stories and the fact that Instagram stories is where you should put your behind the scenes content, and then your grid is really important, needs to look just so. We decided to embrace that because we were following advice at the time. And then more recently in the last year, I've gone, oh God, I'm just so bored of the grid. And, you know, Anne, she does a lot of our scheduling and is, you know, very hands-on with our creation. She'd sit there with the grid and lay it all out, and it looked really pretty. And you can probably see it historically. I've just got bored of it. And we weren't getting enough of a result from it. So we've kind of started to intersperse it before the last lockdown with a bit more within the grid of trying to go back and capture some of that fun element that we had in the past. Because we'd have a Saturday selfie and clients would turn up just to be in our Saturday selfie in the mirror because they wanted to. They heard that. So,
Yeah,
so
I
they
love
turn
that.
up
It's something
early.
but it's
Have you
something
done the
unique
Saturday
to
selfie
you.
yet? Yeah, and
Yeah.
we'd be like, no, come on in, you know, they put a hat on and join in. And, you know, it was just, we'd lost that fun element, I think, you know, whether it's, you know, being pretentious or not. I just didn't feel that we were getting still the same traction, still the same metrics, but I just wasn't enjoying it as much. So hopefully when we get shooting again, you'll see a little bit more behind the scenes or just ad hoc stuff on our grid, because it
And
just
I suppose it's tuning into your clients and what you feel your clients need, rather than always. I mean, you have to retain professionalism, but you've got to have a friendly manner with it as well. And there is that fine balance.
Especially with the nature of what we do. So women are very hungry to see what the hell's going on here and just get to know us as humans, because they need to trust us and they want to turn up and feel safe and comfortable. And the feedback that we always get is that they need that. If we just had very sort of professional, slick social media channels, they can't kind of see behind the curtain, and they need that, really, or at least that's what they've told us. So I'm going to listen to them for a while, and who knows, in 6 months time someone will convince me that I need to bring my grid back. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the joy of it, isn't it? Is that we can be fluid with it, and we can play with it and just keep an eye on the numbers in the background, really, and see what it's.
And that's the thing, just keeping an eye on it and changing with everything else. So you've mentioned there about you have somebody who does your scheduling. I mean, with how you are and how you run your business, and we've always said, if there's something in your business you can't do or you haven't got time to do, then get somebody in to do it, and use also what's available. So I'm going to ask you about scheduling a little bit more, and what do you use? And obviously we can't all go out and do what you do. We have to find out what's right for us. But what have you found works for you, and is there a big cost outlay to it? Because I know that I've looked at some of these things and I think, oh my god, look how much that is. I can't buy that because it costs a fortune. And I think people look at a kind of blanket cost and think, can't afford that because what's my return? Again, going back to return.
Just
Yeah.
another outgoing on top of everything else. So
Yeah.
for me, I need to feel, well, I'm always saying that I need to make sure that anything I'm spending out on, I'm going to get a return from. So I think on your social media, or just if you're a brand, which we are, or we try to be, what's my why? What's my story that I want to sell to my potential clients? I think that affects every genre, really, is that you've got to find your hook. Who are you? And then we plan everything. So on the board over here, I can't show you, there's a big whiteboard, and we've got down the side, we've got all the social media channels, and then we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then all the content is all carefully gridded out on there. So we release a blog on a Friday, say, I can't remember, don't know, and that then goes over onto stories on that day, and then that goes over onto Instagram on that day, but it goes out on Twitter, and it goes, so we're reappropriating this content, but it all has an overall theme about who we are and what we're trying to deliver, or who we're trying to be for our clients, really, so that they connect with the content that we're putting out there, which I think they do. We use online to do the actual scheduling, so that's the planning. The scheduling is later.com is who we use. There are other brands available. we loved it. We basically went to it because it was the only one at the time where you could visually see your grid on Instagram and plan it. So if you're doing colours and special fancy stuff, like I said, we've kind of ditched the grid at the moment. So we went with them, and it means that I can schedule across all of my platforms, and it's got a calendar on there. So you just drag and drop it over, and you can add your comments, you can add your hashtags, which are all saved. And it means that, you know, I don't do it, I delegate everything I possibly can. So this is delegated to Ange in my team. So Ange will sit there, she takes half a day a week. And in that half a day, she can create 2 weeks worth of content. And that's including stories. And at $15, I think you can get the basic one, which doesn't include the analytics, which might not be important if you're a small business, you're not so bothered about. At $15 a month, to me, it's peanuts, really, for the time that it gets you back. So we'll schedule everything on a basic level. So we've got all of our regular content going out. And then because I'm in my world and I've got my phone on me constantly, when something happens, I can manually put in something organic or time sensitive at that moment. So today was Pancake Day, so we've put that in, you know. So it's just, we can keep it fresh as well as having the basics done. So if Ange is poorly, if I'm poorly, you know, if something happens, I know that we've got 2 weeks in the can. That is, there's an app on my phone. I can sit in front of the telly in the evening if I've forgotten. I can move stuff around, you know, and it's just kind of in your hand and scheduled, and I don't have to think about it and I don't have to worry. And I think I'd pay double, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you never know what's coming up in your business, do you? And if you schedule it, I schedule a lot of my stuff, and I do need to get back on it a little bit more, you know, COVID and all of that. But you saying that you have a busy diary, you know what's coming up when, and you've already said that you can be there on your phone. So like in this pandemic, how quick are then you to respond if you're, sometimes I do a month in advance, and I know that I've put a couple of posts out and they've gone out and I've maybe missed it and they've not been relevant, or it's been a bit sensitive, to be honest, to what's going on.
Yeah. So we're getting a bit experienced at this lockdown thing now. You know, I feel like a bit of a veteran. So we've fallen into 3 now. So when they've happened, we've only had 2 weeks of content to worry about. And we've been able to go in and pull out all the salesy ones, because in that moment, the country's traumatized. They don't really want to be sold to. And luckily for us, I think we're quite a empowering women, you can do it kind of business. So a lot of our messages out there kind of suit pandemic women, because they're struggling, they're juggling everything. So when they see some, like an inspirational meme or something that we've put out, it's relevant. So we've been quite lucky really to sort of have the right content, but we did have to pull a lot of salesy type ones because we're not selling to anyone in a pandemic.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I suppose if you're outlaying money for those advertisements and you can't actually get them booked in, and you don't know when we can open again, actually you do need to be able to pull those really quickly. So you are very reactive to situations and the economy around you and what's happening.
So if there was suddenly a massive world disaster, I'm not talking about a long-term pandemic, but something dramatic happened, you know, we've got to be able to, on my phone, reach over and just switch them all off for a minute, you know, or just double check what's coming in tomorrow to check that it's still relevant and it's not gonna pee anybody off.
Yeah, I've got on here and I've missed it out and I want to go back. You said about your scheduling, but I've also heard you talk quite a lot about Canva. So just tell us a little bit more about Canva, because people will have, I would presume, if they're looking at social media and looking to do things, they'll all say, oh, I've heard of Canva. What do you think of that? Do you use it?
Yeah. We've had, do you know what? I've heard people, photographers, be quite sniffy about Canva, actually. You know, it's for small business, whatever, people who don't know how to use Photoshop, etc. I think it's brilliant. It's so easy. I'm not about to create my marketing material with it. I'm not about to, use some of the things that it does, but it's great for other people who don't have access to the design skills or people that we do as photographers. But I pay for Canva, so I pay for the business version, and it's great for like social media graphics. So if I want to put a post out that says, fully booked till, I can take one of my images, put a text overlay, bosh, it's done in like 30 seconds and it's up on my social media channel. I don't have to go and get Photoshop and kind of think about what I'm doing, resize it, etc. It's just done. It's all done and it looks great. I would challenge anybody to look at some of those posts and assume it was Canva. With the paid version, you can put, we've got a color palette for our business. So happens to be on my pin board. So this is our branding palette. So I know the correct.
Yeah, your codes.
Yeah, exactly. But also what are my fonts and what are my colours, and they're all in my Canva. So I just dip over and I can create stuff that is on brand as well. So it's very quick.
So for anybody who doesn't know, and we're using Canva, Canva is a platform that you can go to, you can design, it's got templates. And what is good, I know that a lot of people will say, oh, what's the size of the header that you need for Facebook, or what's the size of the which comes with a little square for your profile. So it gives you all of that. Everything's templated and it does give you lots of drag and drop options in there. But as you say, if you've got, which is a great idea on your wall, that you've got your colors, you've got your fonts, you've got your hex codes, and you just pull in recent images to promote.
Anything that's going to make my life easier and make it quicker. And Ange is doing a lot of this, so she's not trained, she's not a photographer, she's not a graphic designer. We need something that is easy for Ange to do and make look amazing. So we do all of our Instagram stories, we've got templates again, which makes it easier. It's just, where's the rub? What stops me doing something? It's either confidence or time. So if it's already there and you've just got to drop stuff in, you kind of satisfy those issues and get on and crack on putting that content out there, really.
Brilliant. So I'm going to go on to next, that content that you put out, if people are going to go and have a look, I'm going to go back to a comment right at the beginning that you don't chase likes. So if somebody goes onto your, because they're going to be listening to this and they're going to say, on what authority is Jo to kind of tell us about social media, really, because they're going to go on and have a look at your likes and they're going to say, well, her likes aren't as many as I would have thought, but actually they're kind of open Facebook pages or Insta pages, but you've got private pages as well, haven't you, that work very well for you, that general public won't know where they are, they're not seen, they're hidden, they're private for a different type of a different part of your business. So tell us about that and how you manage those.
So I think probably driven partly by fear that my Facebook pages could get deleted at any point. That's just the nature of Facebook. I think without me and what I shoot, you find that with their lack of customer service, you don't really get a say in anything that they do.
So it's just gone.
Yeah, some bot is just going to go, no, and whatever it is, 7,500 likes are just going to go gone forever. And so I've got two Facebook pages. Like I said, I've got the portraits and I've got the boudoir. I can't advertise or boost anything through my boudoir page. They've said you can, but you need to remove all your photos. And I'm like, okay, I've had it like 8 years or whatever. I'm never going to delete all these images. Plus my ladies love being featured on it. No, but they're American and I'm not allowed boudoir. So a lot of our campaigns and a lot of what we do sort of marketing wise goes on through our portraits page. So because of that, the likes on my portraits,
mix them together. There's a new brand for you.
There you go. The likes on my portraits page are much higher than my boudoir one, because the boudoir one is just even more organic, whereas the portraits one's got quite a few likes because they've come naturally through Facebook adverts and then they've liked the page. So because I was worried about that, and we wanted somewhere nice for our clients to be at the end of their journey and not lose touch with them, because you really make quite a genuine connection with them. And we created a Facebook VIP group, and that is what I should have looked actually to see when we started that, but it's years and years old. It's got to be 5, if not more, years old. And that's one Facebook group, and clients are invited to it as a VIP after they invest at the end of their journey. So they need to have invested in us equally as we've invested in them, and they get invited to this group, and it's really, really, really lovely. It's a very empowering place to be. We don't talk an awful lot. You're in there, Karen, as having been a few of ours. So, you know, I don't talk about photography very much in there, do I?
No, but what is interesting is you don't have to, because your clients are so invested in you and what you do. Anyway. They do it for you. They are your selling material.
It's amazing. It's a really lovely, vibrant, busy group. So we had a new chair arrive this week, so I'm creating a new set. I put a sneak peek in the group. And we've got some new wall art installed. We've taken some images of that and promotional, and I'm not going to go out and sell publicly, but I know that some in my Facebook group are itching to get some portraits on the wall. I'm going to put a special offer into there at the moment, because I don't mind mentioning something special for them right now, but I'm not going to sell publicly.
No.
And then I've got a second Facebook group, which we've actually only launched fairly recently. We've got a bit of a promo in there to try and engage and get more people in, and that's really busy again. I've got moderators who are posting in there on my behalf to keep it busy. You know, it's busy. It's a busy group. Lots of women who are got their eyes on the prize later on in the year of coming in for a shoot. So, but that's open to, they have to answer questions to come in, but it's open to anybody. So we've got less control over the members of that group. So it'll be interesting to see how it grows organically and what it's going to be like in there. But it's turning out to be a really nice place. And that's visible. That one is connected to our social media. We're promoting, we're talking about this group. I want them to come in there pre-shoot, pre-booking, to kind of be educated about us, if that makes sense. So, and then the VIP group is this protected little bubble that we have, which,
and I love that.
Anywhere, nobody knows about that group. It's very quiet.
And I love that. And any business can create that. So you do food, and I do weddings. So I've started. I haven't done much on it because we then went into lockdown. But I started a group for my couples that wanted to talk about their wedding, or they wanted wedding ideas, or they would ask other brides, what are you doing? So that became a really nice thing. And I think as well for the new one that you've started, where maybe they haven't yet been a client, I was reading something, or I heard something recently that said sometimes that confidence takes up to 2 years to build. So where that people might think, well, they've never bought off me, they've not had anything, they've been part of this group for 2 years, they've still not bought anything. It can take up to 2 years to build that confidence. So you have a constant drip of new people coming in, and that 2 years building, and then once you really nurture those women that you have.
I recognise a lot of the names, and then because we've got a CRM system, I can put their name into that system and go, oh, yeah, she came through a different funnel 4 years ago, didn't respond to any of our calls, didn't book, backed out because she was scared or whatever. It wasn't the right time for her. She's back, you know, and I just recognize some of these names kind of, and it's lovely because they're circling. I call them lurkers. So they circle around our social media, they like the odd post, and they just become familiar to me. And there's nothing sweeter than getting them in front of the camera at last and getting that shoot done, which they then are very honest and go, oh my God, I just couldn't, you know, and it wasn't the right time, and I was terrified and I backed out and I just ignored it, you know, sorry. and then they're back in, and they're the strongest clients you can have, I think.
I think so, and I also think for what you do and what anybody does, actually, there's always milestones in life, isn't there? So, you know, if somebody's a newborn photographer, they've got that newborn, and then they've got their 12-month, and then they go to school, and then they go to secondary school. And if you keep them and nurture them, you don't have to go out and find new clients all the time. They're there for you. And actually, for you to do that in a private group where they feel a lot more nurtured and looked after is it's a lovely thing, isn't it?
And it is coming down to that consistency again. So we need to, you know, we post in these groups multiple times a day, twice a day, because the woman viewing that might only dip in a little bit in the evening, or might mid-morning while having a coffee, we'll just have a quick look. So they'll miss some of the content, and then we'll hit them with something else. And it's just staying relevant, keeps my name and my branding front and center, basically, in their online world. And I just, and this is all free.
And that's the thing, it's all free.
My time.
Yeah, definitely all free. But we say it's free, and I'm going to go on to my next question. Is it really free? You know, we talk about Facebook advertising, you've got to invest money into it. So this is where, if you've stuck around and listened to the whole video, this is where we're going to talk a little bit about figures. I believe that you've got a few stats for us. It's not really free, is it? We do have to invest, but what is it we're investing? Are we investing time? Are we investing money? Are we getting a return on it? It's not really free.
So physical advertising for me, so Facebook, Google, Instagram, you know, actual campaigns that are built, I've got to invest the time in learning how to do it. I've tried to outsource it to other companies in the past, been ripped off. They've not really understood the story of us. You know, they've just tried to sell our shoots like they'd sell a pair of shoes. You know, it's not worked, you know, and but my big thing when I'm talking to people about this is that even if you're going to outsource your campaign and the cost of that, you must learn the bare bones of it. You must understand conversions, clicks, you know, optimizing. You need to know these things. You need to not be completely, oh, I'll pay a company to do that. Because if you haven't got the right company, and this is from experience, they can explain away a lack of results and keep a retainer from you because it takes time. You don't understand because you don't understand. Whereas if you can go, well, I've been looking at the conversion rate on that, and you know, if you know the lingo and you know what you're looking at, even basically, that puts a stop to all of those kind of companies, because they can't just drag you along on a monthly whatever and say, well, it just takes 6 months to get what you're looking for. So educating yourself, I think, is really important. So that's going to take time. That's going to take engaging with somebody who knows what they're talking about, whether it's a mentor, etc. So time on that. Facebook groups, it's time. So time is money. I get that. But I love social media, so it's not a hardship for me. And when I see something funny, I'll share it into the group. It doesn't take me 2 seconds to do that, but I love it. So therefore, probably it's easier for me than it might be someone who just hates social media, would rather not be on social media if they didn't have to. So I don't know whether there's going to be a rub there, isn't there, for people.
Yeah, and actually your time isn't physical hard cash. This is just you building up confidence, getting yourself out there, kind of pulling that kind of confidence with your potential clients.
But it's taken us time. It's taken us time to create a plan. It's taken us time to create a whiteboard. It's taken us time to find the right scheduling apps, which we now have to pay for. So there is those kind of costs of time and certain apps to kind of help you. I think you've got to look good. You've got to look professional. You've got to look like you are the authority and the dog's danglies, you know, to that client. Why would they want to follow you? So, you know, you've got to make sure. I always say, whatever post we put out, whatever we post somewhere, that could potentially be that person's first impression of us. So it
Yeah,
needs to be a good
definitely.
one. So we try not to put out anything that's kind of that isn't good enough. You know,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be hot on grammar and full stops and, you know, trying to make everything. But then there is the balance of making it too perfect and not putting anything out there because you're frightened of, I guess there's a balance there really. But yeah, as far as costs are concerned, and then that's just your general social media platforms, isn't it? It doesn't cost anything to be on those other than time and educating yourself. Then you've got on social media the huge part of ad campaigns and being able to pay and know what you're paying for. So whenever somebody says to me, oh, I tried Facebook ads, they didn't work.
Yeah, tried it once, didn't get anything back for it. I've tried it once, got nothing.
It's rubbish. Might as well have flushed the money down the toilet. I'm like, right, either your content was rubbish and wasn't long enough and wasn't this and wasn't that, it didn't grab, it wasn't good enough, or you didn't understand how to create a Facebook campaign and you just posted it, you didn't understand, you just boosted a post, for example. You didn't go into the business manager, the ad campaign, and build it from the bottom up. You just boosted a post and wasted your money. I don't boost posts, I haven't done that for years.
No.
Years, like 5 or 6 years since I boosted a post, you know, because I know not to. But
and actually, for you, when you go into that ad manager, and I know what it's like, and it's a little beast in itself, isn't it?
It's just, there is so much in there that I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
so disclaimer, I don't know everything, but I know enough to create a basic ad campaign. I know how to compare to see what content is working and what isn't. I've, through spending, again, my time following, nothing to do with photography, social media experts online, watching their videos, listening, following them on Facebook for all the latest tidbits. So I know, for example, I can now put text on an image. That was a big no-no not long ago. I know that video is less likely to be caught by the robots because people go, oh yeah, it got deleted by someone. I'm like, no, it's a bot. It's not,
somebody just sat there waiting.
There's not some angry man judging you in America with his finger on a button. You know, it's all bots, it's all AI, you know, and you know, I know that I can get videos through and okayed quicker than I can images, and they perform better because I've checked the metrics in the background to see how they perform. So I'll run adverts and I'll delete ones that aren't performing and I'll put my money into the ones that are. So there's a very careful campaign, and there's probably 100 things that I can do more, but I'm the same again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just let it run. It's performing, it's doing what it needs to do. So figures wise, which probably helps to sort of work that out, as well as the learning for Facebook ad campaigns, which also goes into Instagram as well a little bit. I spend about 10 grand a year on Facebook ad campaigns.
Now, a lot of people are just going to now have that sharp take a breath and go, £10,000.
Now, that works out about 30 quid a day. When we were bigger, we were spending £100 a day. So I have learnt over the years new ways to get that cost down, you know, because it was just huge numbers, and doing different techniques and stuff like that. However, that 10 grand turns over 200 grand a year for me.
So that is like
5%.
So we're just going to reiterate those figures just for those that didn't hear that. £10,000, huge amount on advertising for a return of £200,000. That to me is a good investment of anyone's money.
Yeah. So it's going to be better than me setting pitching a stand outside Sainsbury's foyer, you know, the old traditional ways of. That's all done in the warmth of my studio, on my laptop, on my phone. I can do them on my phone. And, you know, so time and that financial outlay and the skills of learning how to do that has been grown over a period of 5 years really. So but I have got all my eggs in one basket. Not great. So in the last 6 months we have been hammering the email marketing and getting people's email addresses so that we've got a plan B should that bubble pop at some point. I'm trying to be careful now, a bit more mindful. And it's very easy when you find something that works to just go for it and just keep doing that year after year. And my little alarm bells go off in the back of my head going, something's going to change. We need to make sure that, out of the pie, it isn't such a massive amount going towards Facebook, because quite frankly, you wouldn't put up with any other supplier behaving the way that they do.
No, and that's true. But the thing
customer
is,
service, I can't ring anyone.
No, it is. But the
It's
thing
really
is,
bad.
you understand it. You know your market. You know that that's there potentially, and it could be gone tomorrow. And you know those pitfalls. So you have got that.
Yeah.
But at the end, although apart from paying for the advertising, it is still currently a free platform.
Exactly. I get very peed off with things getting pulled and issues, but essentially it's obviously well worth it.
Yeah.
I also looked at, when I was looking at the numbers for this, I was like, oh, I knew what the numbers were for that. And I thought, Facebook groups. So our Facebook group is really where, it's a great place to be, but a lot of ladies will be triggered into coming in for repeat shoots, will invite their friends, so you can get a direct referral situation happening within the group. So we looked at the maths, and just by posting in a Facebook group a couple of times a day and being very genuine in there and having a really good time and nurturing them. I love the word nurture because we genuinely nurture them. So we turn over 20 grand a year from our Facebook groups.
With no money, just nurturing, just being you, being who you stand for, being your brand, putting yourself out there. So that's if you have no money.
But I'm giving them value. It's a lovely place to be. So there's a real genuine exchange there. It isn't a sales group to me. If Facebook suddenly told me that I couldn't talk about photography in there, I would still continue because I love it that much. It would still be a place to nurture these lovely women that I've met over the years, and they're our champions. They're the ones that are going to go out there and we're going to get our return clients from, which is lovely. But I can usually pretty much, that's how I keep in touch with them. So I can attribute those sales to being nurtured through that group, which is lovely.
And what about things like Instagram? Do you kind of pay for that advertising as well? Does that come along with Facebook, or do you get a return on that?
When we do Facebook ad campaigns, you get a choice of different placements of where you're willing for your advert to be placed. I go for everything because I just think it's free. So we throw it out there, it goes for everything, it's optimized to go wherever it can, which includes Instagram. So I know our adverts go out across Instagram. We've got a bio with a link tree in our Instagram, and in there is a promotion as well. So I can monitor the ones that come through, not the advert, but come through that link at the top of our Instagram. And we turn over about between 5 and 6 grand a year just from those. So, and that's very free because I'm doing Instagram anyway. We just happen to be collecting some leads through that organically, really. So it's nice, that's bringing money in that we, if I'd sniffed at it and gone, well, I'm not doing Instagram, hate it.
Yeah, and I think also and I didn't have this on my list, but it's come to mind. The other thing that you have to do and remember is these things don't happen overnight, and they don't happen by just putting money in an advertisement. You have to have your pixels on your website, your Facebook pixel. You have to have a good CRM system that's going to track that, and that your client. So you have got to know some of the workings behind all of this, because there's no point putting that money in there and then not realizing where that audience has come from, or if they're tracking back to your site or any of that.
So I need to know, for me to deliver those numbers to you today, I needed to be able to pull them off a system. didn't I? Otherwise I wouldn't have known that. I just have a hunch that we do quite well out of, I wouldn't know for sure. I was surprised by the group thing. I was like, wow, okay, that's great. And it gives you a bit of confidence. But, yes, it takes time, but it's well worth it. And you have to make sure that you've got your funnels and your business in the back end in place to support whatever marketing activity that you're doing. Like you said, I have to know. I mean, our business model is so carefully mapped out from first glance to first phone call to first everything, all these points that the client meets with us and feels nurtured and loved and ends up with this amazing sale for us, which is wonderful. That's happened over a long period of time and is now, I now mentor others, and I can literally lift this model and I can hand it to someone else for them to put their content in and their voice, and it kicks off immediately, which goes to show that, the model works. But you can't pick up one part. You can't do Facebook ads and not have somewhere for those leads to go, or a process of how to convert those leads and get the most out of them client wise. Does that make sense? It's a bit like going to a there with an iPad, gathering leads and then just not really following them up. We've all done that. Where it's just life's got in the way. You've got to have a system in place, and yes, that also costs a bit of money as well, don't get me wrong. The numbers look good, my overheads are quite high.
But it's managing everything, isn't it? There's lots of balls to be juggled. It's managing everything, and it's having your eye on that ball and know when to be reactive, what to use, where to go, how to do it. So what I'm going to say, if everyone watching this now, and we're going to wrap this up because we could talk all day about this.
I know,
frank, couldn't we? I mean, we could talk all week about it, to be honest. But if people was to take away one little nugget from today, and I know this is going to be a hard question for you, this, Jo. If I was to take away one thing from today, what would that one thing be?
Can I have two?
See, we haven't got one, we've got two. Give us your two takeaways. I love that. Give us two.
Time is money, so plan, schedule, changes your life. It's worth doing. It safeguards your image, it safeguards your brand, it makes sure that it's consistent because you can step back and look at the schedule. I think that it really helps with brand identity, and it helps with you as well as a business owner, entrepreneur. Get burnt out because we feel that constantly at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night that we need to share, we need to comment, we need to be constantly within it. I've been there. I've had the beast on my back, feeding this animal of a studio and feeling like I've got to work 7 days a week. That's not why you go into business, is to kill yourself, really. So I think it just gifts you back a little bit of control and makes you feel better. And then on the flip side of that, obviously, number two is consistency. So, think about what you want to do, schedule it, and just be present and be consistent with your message, your why, who you are, and what is your solution to their problem.
So I love that. Going back to the very first question, really, how important is it to be consistent and schedule? Give yourself back time, be kind to yourself, because actually we are all glued to our mobile phones and social media.
And we're no good to anybody ill.
No.
We are starting to understand a little bit, we take the positives out of these pandemics as what's important. And, we have all got lost down rabbit holes of social media presence. It's a beast. And for a lot of people, it's a very negative place to be. But you kind of got to get over that, and you have to embrace it. But by scheduling, it means you're not stuck in it constantly, which I think is detrimental to you, your relationships, and life.
Definitely.
It's a frightening. It is equally great as it is equally dark. So scheduling means you can go in, do it, and get back out.
Scheduling and consistency, And with that, Johanna, Elizabeth, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome.
Inspiration as always, with lots of helpful tips, hints, and advice. And we can find you. We're all going to go out now and see how many likes you've got on your page, but but we can also talk to you. You know what? We've said this on doing quite a few of these interviews, is that we're all in the Facebook group there to help each other. If you've got a question, just pipe up and ask it. We're all there.
There, tag me and I'll answer. You know, I'm there. You know, and going back to the don't be pushed into a lack of confidence when you look at other people's social media and it's always a snapshot of everything's awesome. It's not. I'm using the plot big time, homeschooling and, you know, struggling and lack of cash. You know, it's tough. You know, it's been tough for everybody. But don't assume, you know, that you need to have 10,000 likes on this and a massive following, because the figures that I've shared with you today show that that's just vanity numbers.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. And we'll see you in the group soon.